We're watching severe thunderstorms develop across the plains this afternoon. We'll show you the threats there and if we have anything to be concerned about here over the weekend.
All right, Mike, we're also following two breaking news stories affecting students in 3 counties.
A teacher placed on leave and a school superintendent resigning. Developing details coming up. Plus, a dangerous driver on Triangle roads caught on video today. He was caught by police.
The Triangle's #1 source for news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
Tens of millions of Americans will face the threat of dangerous weather tonight and into the weekend. A storm system is expected to unleash damaging thunderstorms with the risk of tornadoes from Texas all the way through parts of the Deep South. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Deborah Morgan in for Catherine Brown. This same system is expected to reach us this weekend. Meteorologist Mike Mays is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what we can expect. Mike, will it be severe when it gets here?
There's a very slim chance of that, and I'll explain why coming up in just a moment. But prior to its arrival, we've already seen the change. Cloud cover has moved in. It's already warmed up out there. What we're watching is this system here across the plains, anywhere from just to the west of Dallas throughout southwestern Missouri. This area right now is primed for severe weather. We've already seen tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. We've seen reports of large hail. This is advancing to the east. Now, here's the outline of the threat where you see the bright red. That's a level 4 threat for severe weather. In fact, anywhere from the Texas Gulf Coast all the way up to St. Louis, there's the threat for severe weather. We're talking about widespread wind damage, very large hail, which they've already seen plenty of across parts of Kansas, and several tornadoes, with one already being reported over southwestern Missouri. The threat for tomorrow shifts to the east. It's a lesser threat. Notice here in North Carolina, we're in the green, which is a level 1 threat. But by the time that system gets here, the energy to sustain it will be across the Great Lakes states, so that will be farther away from the system. That means the storms will weaken on approach. So the cold front approaches Saturday night. The showers and storms will likely weaken when they get here. Some could be strong. They don't look like they're going to be widespread, and the threat we're going to have to watch for is a damaging wind gust. Now, coming up in weather in about 15 minutes, we're going to show you how that storm system evolves, that line, how it approaches, and you yourself will see how it falls apart when it gets here. We'll show you that coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, we will see you then. Thanks.
And we have breaking news out of Johnston County. The interim school superintendent is stepping down as accusations of corruption continue to grow.
WRAL's Aaron Thomas is live in Johnston County with his reason for resigning. Aaron?
With this news coming out of the school board office this afternoon, in a statement, Dr. Cosby blamed roadblocks and interference from select school board members who made it difficult to do his job. Now let's go back. Dr. Cosby took on the role as interim superintendent back in September of last year, following the sudden retirement of then Superintendent Ross Renfro. He says he discussed with board members that he would no longer agree to fulfill this role if any of them interfered with his ability to make decisions in best interest of the school system. Cosby thanked all board members for their full support except for Ronald Johnson and Teresa Grant. The district is left trying to handle a turbulent school year, including a budget deficit and allegations of sexual harassment by 2 female employees. Now, in the past 30 minutes, we heard from the school board chairman that Brian Vetrano will serve as acting superintendent for the school system. And right now, we are working to speak with select families in the Johnston County school system to find out what their thoughts are about this sudden resignation from Cosby. Back to you.
Interesting developments there in Johnston County. Aaron Thomas live. Thanks, Aaron. More breaking news on a settlement we told you about yesterday. Wake County Schools paid $450,000 to a family who says a Wake teacher illegally confined their disabled son and put him in a closet to seclude him. We now know that teacher is Marcus Campbell, a former professional basketball player who taught at Southeast Raleigh High, where this incident occurred. We have learned Campbell has been teaching at Northern High School in Durham now. And new tonight after our report, Durham County Schools says Campbell is on administrative leave while they do a thorough investigation. We spoke with Marcus Campbell this afternoon. He said he has no comment at this time. Breaking news now. In the last half hour, Raleigh police released a report detailing why an officer fired gunshots this weekend. It happened Saturday near Southeast Raleigh High School. Police say Officer R.S. Matru fired gunshots at the man accused of trying to carjack a city garbage truck at gunpoint. The officer did not hit the suspect. The State Bureau of Investigation is not investigating since no one was hurt. Raleigh Police's Internal Affairs Unit is investigating, and the Wake County District Attorney will review the case.
The Highway Patrol says a dangerous driver is off the road. Other drivers saw this driver passing cars in the emergency lane several times. Today, troopers say they arrested him after they saw him driving recklessly again. WRAL's Ken Smith is live in our newsroom now with what Nathan Thorpe is accused of doing and the charges he faces. Ken?
Gerald, this is a situation where other outraged drivers were posting video of Thorpe on social media, violating traffic laws and putting other people in danger. Take a look at your screen. This is the video evidence against Thorpe. He was arrested this morning after troopers spotted him using the shoulder of the highway on I-540 to pass other vehicles. And apparently he is a repeat offender because other drivers were posting similar videos left and right. Investigators are checking with Wake County District Attorney's office about other violations captured by other drivers. We talked with the DA and she tells us additional videos could mean more trouble for Thorpe.
What we are interested in is, looking at these cases where you have repeated flagrant violation of the law behind a wheel, and where we have evidence that this has happened multiple times, and we can bring charges on that. Then we're certainly going to look at that and consider that.
Thorpe was arrested this morning, booked into the Wake County Jail, but has since bonded out. He's from Nightdale. Now, it's likely he would appear in court sometime next month to face the reckless driving charges. Now, we also talked to the DA about the proliferation of personal dash cams like you see here. She says anytime her office can obtain corroborating video of a traffic violation, that would help her office make a case against the suspected perpetrator. Gerald?
Yeah, more and more people have these cameras. Ken Smith in our newsroom. Thanks.
This is just into the newsroom. Just minutes ago, we received a new update on the carbon monoxide scare at McDougal Terrace right there. This is what we're learning. We have a number of numbers to share with you on what we know so far. Inspectors in 3 days have inspected 198 units. 84 of those units have elevated levels of carbon monoxide. Now, Anthony Scott, the CEO of the Durham Housing Authority, he had plenty to say. Specifically, he talked about the inspection process.
So we're continuing our inspections. That's the most immediate thing that we're going to do. And then, as Crystal was saying here, we then need to figure out what is the best way to make sure those units are safe, whether it means actual repairs, does it mean replacement, does it mean replacing, switching to electrical.
Here's some additional details that we know. 270 families are in hotels. We're told about 127 of the units are left to be inspected. 55 people currently remain there at McDougal Terrace. That is what we're learning according to the numbers that we have here. Still a lot of information to go over. We'll have much more for you later in the newscast. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Julian. Now, here's how you can help the residents of McDougal Terrace. The United Way of the Greater Triangle is collecting donations as part of the Durham One Fund. WRAL.com will have a link for you to donate. People are also in need of clothing, shoes, toiletries, baby formula, and food. Donations can be dropped off at the McDougal Terrace Management Office on East Lawson Street.
A Zebulon man accused of raping a child made his first court appearance today. 33-year-old Victor Emendez Ramirez is charged with kidnapping and statutory rape of a child. The victim was 15 years old. Ramirez is being held on a $1 million bond.
Police have arrested a suspect they say shot a man in front of a subway. Authorities say 51-year-old Uday Kumar opened fire in the parking lot of the Western Boulevard in Charborough. They say he was targeting the man he shot. That man is in the hospital with several gunshot wounds. Kumar is charged with attempted first-degree murder. He's being held on $250,000 bond. A Raleigh man is in custody accused of forcing a teenager into prostitution. Police arrested 25-year-old Vincent Morton Jr. They say he trafficked and prostituted a 17-year-old last May. Morton was booked on human trafficking charges and is being held on $1 million bond.
Today, the U.S. found a way to punish Iran for a missile attack without military might. A tough new round of sanctions meant to hurt Iran's economy are now in effect. Camila Bernal has the new changes from Washington, D.C.
In the back and forth between the U.S. and Iran, the U.S. is striking back, this time with economic sanctions.
We will continue to apply economic sanctions until Iran stops its terrorist activities and commit that it will never have nuclear weapons.
The sanctions come as a result of the Iranian attack on U.S. and allied troops in Iraq in retaliation for a U.S. strike that killed Qasem Soleimani. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo continues to defend the rationale behind the attack that killed the Iranian general.
We had specific information on an imminent threat, And those threat stream included attacks on U.S. embassies. Period. Full stop.
But some members of Congress are still questioning whether the attack was truly imminent. Meanwhile, Iranians say sanctions will not bring them to the table.
Either you want to have a dialogue or either you want to apply sanctions.
And to add to the escalating tensions, new details on the plane crash in Iran that killed 176 people aboard a Ukrainian plane.
We do believe that it's likely that that plane was shot down by an Iranian missile. When we get the results of that investigation, I am confident we and the world will take appropriate actions in response.
Iran denies the claim and says they're inviting international partners, including the U.S., to investigate. In Washington, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
An Air Force base in Tampa, Florida was put on lockdown for a few hours this morning. There were reports of a person with a gun near MacDill Air Force Base around 7 a.m. No one was hurt, and officials didn't find a person with a weapon. Most of the gates onto the base are open again. The incident caused some major traffic delays in that area. The impeachment trial of President Trump could begin soon. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she is preparing to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate next week. She said the House would not vote today to name impeachment managers. That's a necessary procedural step before the articles are sent to the Senate. The House passed 2 articles last month accusing the president of abusing his power and of obstruction of justice. Speaker Pelosi withheld the articles as Democrats try to encourage witness testimony in the Senate trial.
Still ahead, wildfires continue burning and destroying property across Australia.
But be careful what you see on social media about these fires. Our PolitiFact team explains some misleading information about Australia that is circulating on Facebook. Plus,
thousands of members of the 82nd Airborne Division recently deployed to the Middle East with a lot of equipment. But one thing they weren't allowed to take, their personal cell phones.
I know how important those phone calls are to me. Even getting that phone call like, hey, I'm here, I'm safe.
We'll explain why they had to leave them at home.
Also coming up, dirty hands, broken equipment, and air freshener used as cleaner. What? 5 on your side has the violations health inspectors found at local restaurants tonight at 5.
Two people are in custody after they jumped out of and ran from this white car, which was stolen after being stopped by Highway Patrol. I'm Rosalia Federo in the Breaking News Tracker. This is on Old Wake Forest Road near Oak Forest Drive, and I want to take you right to this Sky 5 video. It'll give you a better look at the situation. This is what it looked like right after police got here. You can see all the officers surrounding this white car as they were looking for the driver and another passenger. In total, there were 4 people in the car. 2 of them, the driver and one of the passengers, ran from the car while 2 stayed behind. Now, the driver and that passenger are in custody now. They were found just a little while later by police. No one was hurt, and as far as charges, Highway Patrol tells me they're still pending, but they're anticipating one being possession of a stolen vehicle. Back to you.
All right, Rosalie Federa reporting live. Thank you. As brush fires continue to burn, a Raleigh gym is on a mission to support the people and wildlife of Australia. The owners of F45 Training 5 Points still have family in Australia. All day, they're hosting a Burpees for Bucks challenge. A burpee, if you didn't know, is an aerobic exercise. Anyway, $1 will be donated for every burpee their members complete in 1 minute. Owner Ben Wright says it's personal and tough to see the devastation from halfway around the world.
Australia is such a unique place and has some of the most unique animals and creatures that are only in that country. And I think a lot of people feel for that and are pretty devastated by the sheer numbers of animals that have just been wiped out.
It is devastating. F45 Training has already raised more than $3,000. The fundraising runs through Sunday. We've posted ways you can help on WRAL.com.
An exotic food item on a restaurant menu is causing some debate in Utah. The Burger Bar is offering kangaroo burgers. Some say it's insensitive because of the wildfire crisis in Australia. Exotic burgers are a staple of the Burger Bar menu. Kangaroo is just one of a long list of unique animals they serve, including camel burgers, llama, and alligator. The manager says the order for the meat was placed last year, well before the fires in Australia ignited.
The scope of the damage in Australia is vast, but it's not quite as sprawling as one Facebook user would have you believe. Today, PolitiFact NC starts its new segment, Facebook Friday by examining a misleading map of Australia. David Crabtree explains.
A woman posted on Facebook an image of the continent of Australia with what appeared to be giant orange flames illuminating the country. She wrote, "This is Australia from a NASA satellite. Pray for us, please." Now, this is the image. It actually went viral. It was shared hundreds of times, and similar images have been shared thousands of times. It's true, of course, that there are massive wildfires throughout the country. However, this Facebook posting isn't actually a satellite photo. It is a graphic someone created to explain where all of the fires at one time have been. Let's take a look at the real NASA graphic. It is showing the location of the active fires in Australia. You can see the problem is certainly widespread. There are fires in almost every corner of the country. However, they don't cover nearly as much ground as the Facebook post suggests. It was a fake exaggerating the situation. So the truthometer in this case, rating that post, as you can see, false. Join us every Friday for fact checks of viral Facebook postings. And to read all of the fact checks, go to WRAL.com/PolitiFact.
A stronger internet connection could be coming to some in Person County. The Board of Commissioners has signed off on a 20-year agreement with River Street, Inc. to lease 2 strands of dark fiber. Now, dark fiber is similar to a power line for broadband services and would allow River Street to provide internet service to its customers in the community. In exchange for the strands, Person County would earn more than $141,000 over 7 years.
There could soon be a new way to get around in one local community. The co-owner of Weldon Mills Distillery in Halifax County is restoring a 1986 Chevy trolley. The plan is to transport people between Halifax and Weldon, where the distillery is located. The co-owner says he hopes to have the trolley ready by March.
That would be fun. Well, do you know someone making a difference in your community? During Black History Month, we are looking to honor change makers. We will feature them each week as we celebrate Black History Month beginning February 1st. To offer your nominee, give us a call at 919-821-8707 or go to WRAL.com and search Black History.
Speaking of change, this week has been full of it. We've had winter, we've had spring. We have mid-spring coming up here now with mid-70s expected in the forecast.
I started off with my heavy coat today and didn't need it by the afternoon.
I don't know. I wore a light jacket coming in and I'm thinking, why did I wear this? You may need a light jacket this evening, but the big coats that you probably needed yesterday, put them up, put them away. Won't need them till maybe next Friday, but have some rain gear ready. It's like you're exchanging one wardrobe option for another. Out there right now, it's been mild. Have you liked the day so far? It's been a little cool in Roxborough. You've been in the 50s, but you've been as warm as 70 in Fayetteville. We're 62 right now in Raleigh. We got up to 64 so far. At 5 o'clock, we'll have the actual climate numbers. So mostly cloudy this evening. We don't expect any rain. It'll stay warm. Temperatures in the upper 50s to about 60. So if you're going to be out and about, maybe a light jacket, and don't worry about any kind of rain gear. So let's take a look at how busy it is in the Plain States this afternoon. That storm system we've been talking about developing for the past few days has finally come into fruition. It's developing, but it's very broad in nature, and also it's almost a tale of 2 seasons. We're seeing severe thunderstorms, but then when it heads back into the colder air, they're having not only thunder snow, but they're having thunder ice, so to speak. I just made that up. There's no such thing as that. But they're having an ice storm across parts of Kansas, and you can see the lightning strikes moving into that. So there's a lot of instability, and the rain that's coming down is freezing on contact with the surrounding environment, so it's causing a big mess there. But let's talk about the severe weather aspect. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to talk about how much rain out of the system, and then at 5:30, we're going to talk about how much snow could be produced by this. But there have been tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. All those red boxes you see are tornado watches that are in effect through the evening, and as this line progresses to the east, it's likely these areas will be filled in with tornado watches through the night. Now, these are the storm reports we've had so far. The green dots are hail reports, the blue diamonds, wind damage reports, and so far there have been 2 reports of tornadoes touching down, one in southwestern Missouri, the other one here in Oklahoma. There are going to be far more reports coming tonight and during the day tomorrow. So the storm is just in its infancy now. It'll likely organize, head to the east. More storms later on tonight at 11 o'clock. The line continues to make its way to the east from the Gulf Coast all the way up into southern Illinois. They're likely going to see strong to severe storms. Notice the blue and the pink. That's the frozen precip. And this line continues to head to the east. Now, at 8 o'clock Saturday evening, the line is moving into North Carolina. The line could be severe. here, but the farther that line gets away from the energy source that's sustaining it, the more it will weaken. So it's likely to continue to weaken as it moves into North Carolina. There's 11 o'clock Saturday night. By 2 a.m. when the line gets here, notice how different it looks. It has weakened at that point. Plus, we don't have the heating of the day, so it's not likely to be sustained into a widespread severe event. There could be a strong thunderstorm, maybe a severe one. The front comes on by Sunday afternoon. We're looking at clearing skies and the potential to reach the mid-70s. So our forecast for tonight, it's mild, upper 40s to mid-50s, 54 here in Raleigh, 54 at Fayetteville, 53 at Rocky Mount. And then for the day tomorrow, cannot rule out a shower. It's a 30% chance in the afternoon. The likelihood of getting wet tomorrow is very small, but look at the numbers: 69 Durham, 72 in Raleigh, 76 in Fayetteville. Here is your 7-day forecast. Sunday's warm, 74. Good chances of rain Monday and Tuesday. Now the cooling has been pushed all the way to Friday of next week. That's when we could be cooler, but still above normal.
Just an unbelievable forecast you have there. Thanks, Mike.
A child suddenly paralyzed from the waist down over the holidays.
Still ahead at 4:30, the reason doctors say it happened and how she's coping.
And a man proposed to his girlfriend of 8 years. We'll show you the video that is going viral. Coming up in What's Trending. It's time now for a look at what's trending.
A Swedish company wants to pay you to party without alcohol. A Swedish-based company called Nista will pay you $50 an hour to party in Stockholm. And the catch is you cannot drink any alcohol. The partiers will receive an all-expense-paid trip to the Swedish city, including dinner, a trip to the club, taxi rides, all while sipping on the company's non-alcoholic beverage. Applications for the sober party animal are open through February.
So just one person?
Yeah.
Not a bunch?
Yeah,
People do that now. What a great, $50 an hour?
True. Yeah.
How long can you party? An hour?
And the whole...
Or like 24 hours?
Maybe
You're
it's a
not drinking.
contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heartwarming marriage proposals making the rounds on social media. This is cool. Justin Patton and Jamie Miller have been together for more than 8 years, and recently Justin got down on one knee.
Aww.
Jamie said she was not expecting that.
And she said that I'm a happy.
Good job, Justin. Way to go. The couple will have a small ceremony in the spring. Justin says his goal after marrying Jamie is for his fiancée to meet Ellen DeGeneres.
Aw, I bet they're going to get that
Oh, yeah.
invitation. What a sweet couple. That's true love right there.
Yes, it is.
Oh, very sweet. Soldiers deployed to the Middle East were not allowed to bring phones with them.
And coming up, we'll explain why a commander made that decision and how it is affecting the families left at home in North Carolina. Plus,
you probably have one of these nice, decorative, sweet-smelling candles at your home. One Hope County family says theirs turned into a torch. I'm Adam Owens. I'll have their story.
Coverage you can count on. This is WRAL News.
Families of recently deployed Fort Bragg soldiers say their loved ones were ordered to leave their cell phones and other electronic devices at home.
the Army says the decision was for the troops' own security. Our WRAL Fayetteville reporter Gilbert Bays is live on Fort Bragg with what this means for the soldiers and their families. Gilbert?
Well, Gerald, what it means in the short term is that the soldiers who recently deployed won't have their cell phones and won't have a way to communicate with their families. And the commander who went with these troops and made that order says that's exactly how he wants it to be. Now, we're talking about during the past week, about 4,000 members of the 82nd Airborne Division here at Fort Bragg. They packed up, shipped out to the Middle East. The command wouldn't talk to me on camera, but they said the unit trains without having access to cell phones and other electronic devices that have GPS locators on them. Those devices can be used by the enemy to track the location of troops and put them in great danger. Now, Selena Hernandez's husband is a member of the 82nd Airborne Division. However, her husband has been in the Middle East since June and was not part of the recent rapid deployment. His unit was allowed to take cell phones and have access to the internet, and she shared one of his touching messages that let her know he's okay.
I thank God he has blessed me with the opportunity to spend my life and eternity with you. My gorgeous wife, I love you and I cannot wait to be with you. Sleep well. So.
What would it be like if you were not able to get that kind of message?
It hurts.
Now, military leaders at Fort Bragg say they're well aware of the importance of having families being able to communicate with their loved ones while they're deployed. And they have already planned to set up internet cafes and video teleconferencing locations for the troops who have deployed. We're told that is going to be done once they are safely set up in their operational command posts. Now, the military says it's a balancing act between morale and operational security, and OPSEC is always going to win out. Gerald, coming up at 5:30, we're going to talk to a former military police officer who is also a computer technician. She's going to explain why it was so important to leave these types of devices here at home.
Gilbert, you've covered many deployments in your time, and many of them recently. Have you ever heard of anything like this where people were told to leave their cell phones at home?
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's up to the commander's discretion. It's not a military-wide policy, but depending on where they're going to be located, these things can cause danger to the troops. Photojournalist Mike Joyner and I used our phones when we were in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba to call home, but that area was secured, and you can do that. So it's up to the commanders.
Okay. Gilbert Bayes live in Fort Bragg. Thank you, Gilbert.
I'm Julian Grace live in the Live Center, and we have very scary moments at a KFC in Fayetteville. This is what we know. There was a gas line that was struck by a construction company. Now, crews are working with the Fayetteville Fire Department to stop the leak. This is near Morgantown Road. All lanes have been closed. We're told it's a 2-inch gas line. Now, commuters should use caution to cross the creek on Cross Creek Mall in that area. You want to be very careful. So far, no reported injuries, but we did want to let you know about that the moment we learn new information. Of course, you can read about it on WRAL. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Julian. The town of Princeville, the oldest in America founded by slaves, was decimated by Hurricane Floyd in 1999, then again by Matthew in 2016. Now a $40 million grant from the federal government will target levee upgrades meant to keep the town alive. Travis Fain was in Princeville today and joins us now with more on this grant. Travis, people have gone back and forth about what to do in Princeville for years, but it's hard for people to leave their homes.
Yeah, and some people want to abandon it because, I mean, it basically sits in a bowl beside the Tar River just near Tarboro. But, I mean, people say that even though it's kind of marshy land, they can't let it go because, you know, of these historic implications of it. Like you said, it was the first town, or the oldest in America, founded by former slaves. So what they're going to do is we've got about $40 million, and they're going to do this levee. But we've also got these oddities, like the town hall. You know, it flooded after Matthew. They had just built it in 2002. It still hasn't been repaired. There's a house across the street that used to be the senior center, and they jacked it up on concrete blocks. It's 10 feet off the ground. They're going to tear that down now. So they've spent this money to do these things, and now they're being undone, and it's just not a clear plan going forward, except that the plan is varied.
And it's not just about the levee. Some people are actually going to move. Yeah,
the state bought about 53 acres after Matthew that they say is a little bit higher up, and they're trying to move some people there. But again, it's going to be this multi-layered plan where we raise some highways, we extend the levee along the Tar River, we make some other improvements, but also we're moving people to this new land. And some people have just left. The population has shrunk there, and talking to some leaders there today, we were in Princeville today, they said that they just hope that this lessens the flooding. They don't necessarily expect it to stop.
The challenges they have in Princeville seem far and away more advanced than $40 million can cover.
Yeah, that's one project, and it's been a long time coming. I was talking to people today who said, you know, this study that has led to this plan for this levee, which isn't fully designed even yet, started after Floyd, which of course was in 1999.
20 years ago. Well, more than 20 years now.
Yeah.
All right, let's hope that they can come to a resolution, because I've been there, I've talked to the people there. They want to stay in their homes.
They do.
And we understand that. Yep. Thank you, Travis. Deborah?
An Ohio family has a medical scare during the holidays.
My legs went in like this huge, big pain for and then went numb like that.
Why a 13-year-old girl suddenly became paralyzed from the waist down. Also coming up, a couple uses unlocked bikes to bait thieves and records it for social media. Then they went too far. What they did that landed themselves in jail.
You're watching coverage you can count on with WRAL News.
An Ohio family is desperately looking for answers after their 13-year-old daughter suddenly became paralyzed.
Bob Jones has her heartbreaking diagnosis.
I've been surprised. It was Christmas Day, and we opened presents.
It's a smart TV! It was a joyful Christmas morning for 13-year-old Isabel Kirby, her twin sister, brother, and their parents. But by Christmas night, the Cloverleaf Middle School student and catcher on her softball team noticed her legs felt weak, and then it got worse.
My legs went in like this huge, big pain for and then went numb like that.
I just thought, oh gosh, it's just growing pains, a Charlie horse.
By the next morning, Isabel couldn't walk, a happy, healthy teen suddenly paralyzed from the waist down.
We can't comprehend it. This doesn't seem real to us. Put this hand over on this wheel or on the seat.
Isabel has been at Akron Children's Hospital ever since, now working with physical therapists, and she's received steroid and plasma exchange treatments.
It did give me hip movement and sensation.
Doctors are not sure if she'll walk again, but the courageous girl with the radiant smile is staying positive.
It's like your own story. So you could walk again. That's what we're hoping and stuff like that.
First of all, just heartbreakingly tragic, absolutely.
Isabel's diagnosis, acute flaccid myelitis, or AFM, is a rare neurologic disease which causes inflammation of the spinal cord.
This is a 1 in a million type of likelihood of this happening.
Doctors believe Isabel's paralysis was caused by a virus or her immune system's response to the infection.
It's just amazing to see how many people are reaching out. There you go. Good.
Reaching out to a teen who continues to show remarkable courage.
Good.
It's a lot, but I just try to go with the flow. Yeah. Just try to push through.
Boy, she's got a great attitude, doesn't she? Since 2014, the CDC has been investigating hundreds of similar cases where children have been partially paralyzed. AFM has been called a polio-like condition. However, people have tested negative for the polio virus.
You know, their parents have asked themselves over and over again, why our daughter? Why our family?
It doesn't make any sense.
I know.
But hopefully somebody will figure out some answers.
Yeah. A Fayetteville woman says her candle exploded inside her home.
Coming up, how it almost caught her house on fire and her warning before you buy one. Mike?
Well, Deb, we're monitoring closely the severe weather that's breaking out across the Plain States. When we come back, we're going to talk about how much rain could fall. In fact, flash flood watch is in effect in this region, how much rain could fall there and here as well in the coming days. It's coming up.
Good afternoon. I'm David Crabtree. Restaurant health inspectors don't have a problem with air freshener unless it's being used as a cleaner. Yeah, that happened in one local restaurant. 5 on your side has other unappetizing violations coming up at 5 o'clock. Plus, we have seen the devastating pictures and video of these fires in Australia. Is what you're seeing on social media actually real? We'll take a look at some of the fakes currently on Facebook. Gerald?
All right, David, thank you. A record number of animals are finding their forever home in Wake County. The county's animal center says its adoptions increased more than 11% last year, nearly 4,300 animals in all. However, the shelter also took in a record number of animals last year, more than 11,000. The shelter did not have to euthanize a single animal.
That's great. Today is the last day to recycle your Christmas tree through the city of Fayetteville. They are turning Christmas trees into mulch. The city's annual Grinding of the Greens Christmas tree recycling event is tomorrow. You can still bring your tree to the Fayetteville Community Garden located at the corner of Van Story and Man Street.
A Hoke County family says it was a simple scented candle.
However, they say it erupted into flames in their home. They want their story to be a warning to others. WRAL's Adam Owens shows us how they say it happened.
You probably have one of these candles in your home. Perhaps you recently received one as a gift. A Hoke County family says this one could have burned their home down.
It was in flames. And the wax was just blowing everywhere.
You can still make out where the candle was sitting on the living room table. Wax is sprayed all around it. The glass that held the candle is blackened. Valentina Chavis says she lit this 3-wick candle Wednesday. She says it's just the second time she's used it.
It was like right here.
Less than a half hour later, her daughter says she found fire leaping from it and wax spewing everywhere and tossed it in the front yard. Chavis posted her story online. It has been shared tens of thousands of times. Chavis worries if the fire was not caught in time, she could have lost her home.
the counter caught on fire, and my daughter happened to walk in here, and it was in flames.
They say a decade of testing shows their candles are safe to use in accordance with their printed instructions. Chavis says she's been using candles for years. Adam Owens, WRAL News, Hoke County.
Chavis contacted the store where she purchased the candle to tell them what happened. She says they offered a replacement. Chavis declined.
I'm Julian Grace in the Live Center, and we are learning some new information about Coach Sylvia Hatchell, former coach of UNC. Now, you may recall there was a pedestrian that was injured in a vehicle crash that occurred on Monday, January 6, 2020. That pedestrian has died as a result of her injuries. The pedestrian was 89-year-old Betty Cobble. That's what we're told. She died January 8th, 2020. Now, the crash happened around noon on Monday in the parking lot of 6118 Farrington Road that was at the O2 Fitness Center. Now, according to investigators, Colby was struck by a vehicle which was traveling eastbound through the parking lot and made a slow left turn. We're still learning to get a little bit more information, but investigators stated that neither speed or impairment were factors in the crash. Investigators did cite former head coach Sylvia Hatchell. She's 67. That is what we know right now. Still getting more details in at this point. The moment we learn more, we'll let you know. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Julian.
All right, well, we are on the search now, waiting to see how this weather that's impacting the middle part of the state is going to impact us tomorrow.
That's right. Mike Mays over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Mike?
Well, for us, the good news is it's going to get here in the overnight on Saturday. And when it gets here, it'll be in a much weakened state. In fact, the likelihood of seeing anything severe Saturday not looking all that great. Now, what looks great is the warming. Look at how warm it is across the state. 62 right now out at RDU, 68 in Fayetteville. And with 70s over the weekend, you could be inclined to wear shorts, perhaps, both Saturday and Sunday. Out to the west, it's still rather chilly at Boone, 58 right now, and Asheville. Now let's check out our WRAL Weather Watcher picture coming in from Lake Royale in Franklin County. Greg Abernathy got a beautiful sunrise shot this morning. If you'd like to see your weather picture showcased on our news, just go to our WRAL Weather Facebook page. Post it there, and I will show it on TV. You know what I mean. Let's take a look at our warm weekend. Now, the numbers haven't changed. We're still forecasting about 72 tomorrow, 74 on Sunday. And what we see on Sunday would be sunshine dependent. If we tend to see a little bit more sunshine, we may get a little bit warmer than that. So keep that in mind. Both records for the day, Saturday and Sunday, 76 back in 1890. But we may actually have a record warm low on Sunday morning. The forecast low is 64. The record warm low going back to last year was 56, okay? So we may have a record low Sunday morning, record warm low. The all-time warmest low ever recorded in Raleigh in January was 64 degrees set back in 1913. We could tie that. That's something to watch over the weekend. So here's the big picture of what's going on out west. I see a big storm system moving toward Vancouver and the Pacific Northwest. Don't think that's going to be a big issue around here. The big issue we're watching is, of course, this. Remember, we've been tracking this upper level energy. It's in Texas right now. It's carved out a huge trough of low pressure, which you see right there. And the ingredients, you have a strong jet stream aloft, you have a strong low level jet, an abundant amount of moisture, and all coming together to produce the severe storms. To our east, we have the ridge of high pressure that's pumping the warm air into the region. That's why we're going to stay warm into the weekend. Temperature-wise, 48 at Oklahoma City, back to Denver, it's 28, 5 at Bismarck. Look at all the cold air in Canada. It's not coming here anytime soon. And there are the water issues that we're talking about, flooding, a potential with the system all the way from Texas into the Great Lakes states. Flash flood watches, flash flood warnings are in effect, and this is how much rain could possibly fall between now and next week, where you see the reds. It's greater than 4 inches of rain for us locally between now and next Wednesday. There could be some significant amounts that we'll take a closer look at as the weekend goes on and next week as well. So tomorrow morning, no issues about getting any rain. It's just mostly cloudy to start the day. 56 by 7 a.m., 9 a.m. 62, and by 11 o'clock 67. And then your playground planner, I think you'll be dry at noon and 2 o'clock. A small chance for showers by 4 o'clock, about a 30% chance. 72 is our forecast high. Take a look at your 7-day forecast. Warm on Sunday, 74. There have been some changes with the numbers, especially the precipitation chances. So check out the graph at the bottom of the screen. Monday, 68, 62 on Tuesday, 70 on Wednesday. Cooler Thursday, 61. That's not all that cool, but cooler on Friday of next week, and drier with partly cloudy skies and about 56. So enjoy the warmth this weekend. It will certainly not be a washout. Most of the rain should fall Saturday night and early Sunday.
Boy, good timing. All right, Mike, thank you.
A couple caught thieves stealing their bike, and they took matters into their own hands.
They were beaten with bats and severely injured.
This was not the first time. Coming up, how police say a couple baited thieves with bikes and recorded it for social media.
And troubling messages between Boeing employees released to the public. What they had to say about the 737 MAX jets when they were being built.
Several more heartburn medications have been recalled because of a substance linked to cancer. The FDA says Denton Pharma and Apco Pharma have both recalled batches of ranitidine tablets. That's the generic version of the heartburn drug Zantac. The medicine may have NDMA in it, which is considered a possible carcinogen.
Newly released documents reveal Boeing employees ridiculed the 737 MAX and its development. The company released more than 100 pages of internal messages between workers dating back to 2013. Some of the messages include critical comments about the airplane, even ridiculing designers and regulators. One person said the plane was, quote, designed by clowns. Another said, would you put your family on a MAX simulator-trained aircraft? I wouldn't. The MAX was grounded last year after 2 fatal crashes.
An interesting piece of legislation was proposed this week in Vermont. A state senator wants to ban cell phones for anyone under the age of 21. Sounds extreme, and he says that's really the point of the bill. Senator John Rogers says violators would be fined $1,000 or they could face prison time. He doesn't even support his own idea. He just took this action so people would start the conversation about cell phone safety and rights for young adults.
A couple in California is facing charges after luring thieves onto their property and beating them with baseball bats.
Police say the pair used unsecured bikes as bait to entice the would-be thieves. Medarios Babb has the story.
So here we have the bicycle left unattended.
Visalia Police Sergeant Celeste Sanchez playing surveillance video showing a man taking a bike left on the driveway of a home on Dove Street.
Now he's gotten on the bike.
Moments later, Sanchez says 29-year-old Savannah Grillett and 25-year-old Corey Cornett run out of the home with bats in their hand, assaulting the thief.
Armed with bats. They were beaten with bats and severely injured.
Officers say the couple planted the bike as a decoy several times throughout July to November. If someone took the bait, they would film the entire thing to post onto YouTube and Facebook.
I was surprised nobody reported it sooner because it was almost every night for a minute.
Neighbor Karis LeBeau says at first the neighborhood supported the couple, even thanking them for keeping thieves off the street. But the support quickly diminished once people were seriously injured.
I'm not for not protecting your property, protect your property, but at the same time there was a fine line when they're starting to kind of bait them and do it kind of for other reasons because they were filming it and they were, putting it online and getting a lot of support for it.
Sanchez says at least one of the victims went to the hospital to be treated for their injuries.
Definitely disturbing. I would like for action to be taken against these people for what they've done to these victims.
A mother of 3 says it's not fair to pay rent for an apartment and live in a one-room hotel. This after carbon monoxide forced McDougal Terrace residents out of their homes. That's coming up at 5.